Hi everyone, my name is Charlene and this is my channel, Dream Craft Create. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we are going to be going over a technique that I call vinyl resist. And it is very similar to a technique that is emboss resist that many of you are familiar with. For today, we are going to be using a file a project that I have created in Design Space. And it is called the Vinyl Emboss Resist Grateful Flower Card. I was inspired by a recent video that I watched online by Gina K, where she had done an emboss resist with a flower stamp. And I decided to try it out with vinyl, and it works great. It's just another way to use your Cricut in your card making, and it is a lot of fun. I have gone ahead and already pre-cut everything, so that way we don't have to spend the time going over that part and we can get to the fun creative stuff. So here is the vinyl, and I used a clear vinyl. You can use white, you can use black, you can use whatever kind of vinyl you want. Removable, permanent, whatever you have should work well. So I've gone through and cut and weeded this. Hopefully you can see that there on the camera. I have cut a piece of transfer tape. There are two different kinds of transfer tape. One is standard grip and one is strong grip. The standard grip, you can tell, has these gray lines, whereas the strong grip has purple lines. You do not want to use strong grip in most cases when you are putting vinyl on paper, because you might run into an issue where you can't get the transfer tape off your paper. I do use it sometimes if I am using shimmer vinyl, and then I'll just be very, very careful when I'm applying the shimmer vinyl for a sentiment or something like that, because that strong grip tape is very strong. So I've just applied the standard grip and now I'm burnishing it down. You can use any kind of scraper or a bone folder, credit card, whatever you have to do this. And then a good way to do this is to peel the backing away. That's always, I found, the best way to get a good clean peel. And now we are going to take our white background piece that we've cut, clean it off, and just be careful when you're lining this up. You want to make sure that it is lined up on your card. You can always go back and use a trimmer to trim off any of the edges if you need to. Okay, looks pretty good. Put that down, and again, burnish it. And you're going to peel the transfer tape off. Okay, looks like everything made it. So I'm going to set this aside. What I like to do once I actually have it on there is to go in and burnish the back. This helps make sure that all of the vinyl is really well adhered to your card. There we go. All right. So for today, for colors, I've chosen mustard seed, ripe persimmon, candied apple, and aged mahogany in the Distress Oxide line. You can use whatever colors you have on hand. I thought these were fun fall colors to use. And we're going to start with mustard seed. Move these other guys up. And then I have just a little towel here to clean off my blending brush as I need to. How I do this is I just lightly swipe and I tap off a little bit. And we are going to start by putting this mustard seed over all of the inset parts of the card. Just kind of lightly get started. You can put this down as heavy or as light as you want. I like mine to be a little bit heavier. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now, usually I clean off my brush, but I'm going to set it off to the side just in case I decide I want to come back in with some more mustard seed. Now we are going to go in with ripe persimmon. And we're going to start in the center of each flower and kind of work our way out with this. Back in. Isn't that pretty? Love these colors. A rainy day in Washington today, so it definitely feels like fall. Nice and cool. All right, now I'm going to show you the magic here. Take a towel, paper towel, whatever you have, and just lightly rub on your vinyl. And it is going to take off any of the ink that's sitting on top of that vinyl, just like if you did with embossing powder. Isn't that fun? Looks really cool. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with my ripe persimmon. I'm going to go in with some candied apple now. Pretty light. I'm just going to go in towards the center of the flowers here. You can always move your card around, whatever you need to do in order to get a good grip. I'll lightly bring in some on the edges here. I don't know if that'll show up or not. Okay. Looks pretty good. And last, we're going to go in with a tiny bit of aged mahogany in the very center of all these flowers, where the little spots are. I like to just take a little bit on the tip, kind of tap it off, and just sort of pounce it here. Probably a good idea as you're doing this to wipe off after each layer, but I get so excited I just want to go do the very next color. I will oftentimes go back in reverse order. If you do any Copic coloring, I kind of do my ink blending in the same way I do my Copic coloring. Okay. Do one more wipe off here. Oh, I like that. All right, I'm going to close up my inks. Set these guys off to the side here. Set my brushes off to the side. I'll clean those up a little bit later. Clean off my work surface. The thing I love about the Distress is that and just some water. And you are good to go. I love that they clean up so easily. Looks pretty good. What do you guys think? Hope you like it. You could do this in the summer or spring with flowers and do whatever kind of springy, summery colors you like. You could do it in the winter with some purples and some blues. That kind of stuff can be really fun too. All right. Now, I always like to give my cards a bit of dimension, and a lot of people use foam tape to do that, and that's perfectly acceptable, or they'll use adhesive foam squares or foam dots, different things like that. What I like to use is actually sheets of foam, and I cut them. You can find these at the craft store or online. I find they're far more cost effective than the foam tape, and I also find that they help the card stand up better over time because there is a full even layer popping it up. So I use this often behind sentiments and behind backgrounds and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead, set my panel down. Then I'm going to take my foam sheet that I've already cut just a smidge smaller. Smidge, that's a funny word. And I'm going to go in with my fine point art glitter glue. I like this glue because it has a fine metal tip. You also can use double-sided tape or dot runner. Press that down. We're going to do the same thing on the next layer, which is going to be our red. With a liquid glue, you have a little bit of wiggle room. You can peel your background back off or the foam back off for a little bit if you need to, which is nice. Okay. All right. And one more time, We're going to adhere now this back panel to our card base. The card in the project link for Cricut is cutting out an A2 sized card with a top fold. So if you have those on hand or you want to cut your own, you can do that as well. That little bit of red with that thin border really does look gorgeous on this card. All right, for your sentiment, you'll see in the project link that you have your main sentiment cutout, and then you have two of the same size shadow offset cutouts. This is completely unnecessary. It's something I like to do sometimes. I find that it gives a really unique, fun pop of color when you're looking around the edges of the card, because you see that colored layer that matches the sentiment layer kind of peeking out. I'll show you once the card's together. I think it looks really nice. So we're going to go in and dot our sentiment layer here with the adhesive liquid glue. You also could use the new Cricut Smart paper that has adhesive backing on it already. I actually got some a little bit ago and I have not had a chance to play with it. This would have been a good time. I have my reverse tweezers. These are great. They take a little while to get used to, but they are really, really helpful for laying down sentiments. Okay, next up. There are a lot of liquid adhesives on the market. I've tried several of them, and I really like the art glitter glue with the fine metal tip. I also like the Gina K Connect glue, but it is it's a little harder to do fine lines with that one. You need a really fine tip. Okay, so now you just kind of use your fingertips to line everything up. Because you have adhesive, liquid adhesive on there, you have a little bit of time to sort of mush the the pieces of paper so they line up. Whoop. That's okay. No one will ever know except for you guys. All right. So can you see that there? It just looks kind of fun. It's even more noticeable on the card once it's on. Now we will go in and adhere our sentiment to the card. I like to do this on the side sometimes. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Here is our finished card. This is a new technique for me. I've never done anything like this with my vinyl. I haven't seen anyone else do it either. That doesn't mean it hasn't been done. It just means I haven't seen it. So I hope you will give it a try and let me know in the comments below whether or not you liked it. Please like and subscribe to my channel as well, so that way you can get future videos for other tutorials that I do. I would appreciate that. You can also go to my blog at www.dreamcraftcreate.com. There you can get access to the project files that I create in Design Space, as well as other fun things. I want to show you something before we go. This was my test run of this card. This is kind of fun. I used some lighter colors as well as did some distress ink that I took and I splashed on the card using a fan brush. And I also put together this card. I used an image in Design Space that I really liked, cut it out on vinyl, and did the same technique. This is cut out of white vinyl. So you have lots of different options and possibilities using this technique. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again soon.